What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome back to the brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And in this video we will discuss the Leverkusen manager admitting that Kai Havertz will be sold in the summer. They can't keep the player any longer, and Havertz is having a pretty decent season with Leverkusen. They just won 3-1 away from home at Rangers in the Europa League, where Havertz again had a really good performance. So we will discuss that in this video, and I will quote the Leverkusen manager and exactly what he said about Kai Havertz and his future. But we will also talk about the West Ham chairman wanting the Premier League season to be cancelled and to be voided. And what do you think about that? Of course, West Ham are just a few points above the relegation zone. So if the Premier League froze and finalized the table right now, West Ham would stay up, but I think it would be very unfair to many other teams. And we will discuss many other things around the football. The situation is pretty crazy right now, so make sure to listen to this video very carefully. And guys, if you enjoy these update videos, please leave a like. It really helps me out. It shows me that you guys enjoy these, and subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss the latest Liverpool transfer news. And let's get straight into it. So the 20-year-old Kai Havertz is wanted by Liverpool and many other top teams, and the Leverkusen manager accepts that Kai Havertz will likely move on this summer. Leverkusen are basically resigned to losing Kai Havertz, but they won't give him up for a lot less than 100 million euros, which is around like 90 million pounds. And I will be honest, if Leverkusen really want 90 million pounds for Kai Havertz, I don't think he's worth that amount. But let me know in the comments below, do you think Kai Havertz is worth that, or what would be the fair price? And the attacking midfielder, of course, has been linked with the likes of Juventus, Liverpool, Manchester United, Real Madrid, many clubs. He's only 20 years old and he's having a really good season. He recently rediscovered his goal-scoring form, and Leverkusen have been pretty inconsistent this season, but they are still in the European places in the Bundesliga. And Kai Havertz recently rediscovered his goal-scoring touch. He has been scoring goals regularly again. And Havertz, even though he's just 20 years old, he already made 139 appearances in all competitions for Leverkusen, which is a staggering amount of games to play, even though he's only just turned 20. Kai is 20 years old, according to this is what the Leverkusen manager Peter Bosz said, and he used to be the Ajax manager, of course. Kai is only 20 years old, and this is already his 4th season in the Bundesliga. That says a lot. Everyone in Germany sees him as a child prodigy. He's from Aachen. He has been here since he was 8. Nice boy to work with, very intelligent. He also plays the piano. We sold his buddy Julian Brandt to Borussia Dortmund last summer. Havertz suddenly became even more of an eye-catcher. And Peter Bosz continued, a lot came to him before the winter break. We lost the derby at Köln, and 3 days later we also lost at home to Hertha Berlin. Suddenly the entire stadium whistled him off. He was devastated by that. Why do people hate me, he asked. Then he's just another 20-year-old, and you explain, they don't hate you, but this is how it goes. Sometimes in football these things happen. During the winter break we showed images that he did not reach the box enough times. Now he does that more often. His share of goals and assists has skyrocketed again. He can't be held on to next summer. That will be a transfer of maybe 100 million euros. What am I saying? More than 100 million euros. Wow. Of course the Leverkusen manager would hype up Kai Havertz and his asking price, because they know that Havertz outgrown Leverkusen. Leverkusen are a decent sized club in Germany, but they don't have the financial means to keep a world-class player like Kai Havertz. I consider him borderline world class, or getting into that category, because he scored 20 goals last season as a 19-year-old. This season he's getting closer and closer to scoring like 15 goals again, which is a pretty decent number for a 20-year-old midfielder. And since the winter break, the Leverkusen manager is right. Kai Havertz has been a different type of player. He scored straight away against Paderborn and Düsseldorf after the winter break. So at in the middle of January the Bundesliga restarted, and Kai Havertz already had 2 goals in 2 games, and then he scored against Union Berlin and then FC Porto home and away in the Europa League, and then recently he scored against Frankfurt in a Leverkusen win, and he scored against Glasgow Rangers. And considering that Leverkusen won like 9 out of their last 10 games or something crazy like that, or 8 out of the last 9 games, and Kai Havertz since the winter break has scored in 7 games, which is incredible. 7 games, 7 goals since the winter break is a really good return. So now Kai Havertz has 6 goals in the Bundesliga. He has 1 goal in the German Cup, and he has 3 goals in the Europa League, and also he scored in a friendly game against Germany, for Germany in the international football scene as well. So overall, Kai Havertz scored 10 goals already this season, which means that he's on course to finish with the season with like maybe 15. Maybe if he can keep his rich goal scoring form going, then he can even score 20 goals this season. And also, Peter Bosz was actually very strongly in favor of Bundesliga cancelling the matches, and Peter Bosz revealed that Leverkusen actually received a letter from the German Football League because he spoke out in favor of cancelling matches instead of playing them in empty stadiums behind closed doors. And while football in Germany was eventually suspended, a measure taken by many countries, the authorities were not happy with Peter Bosz and his views. He said, "They immediately sent me an angry letter. If the Leverkusen coach can keep his mouth shut, but this coach is not going to do that. If I am asked the question, I will answer. You now see, or you saw ghost games everywhere. I saw Juventus Inter on TV in front of empty stands. It looks like you are watching an amateur game." Yeah, because without the fans, professional football is like very hollow. It's a actually very good description of a ghost game, because the atmosphere just felt very strange every time I watched the game behind closed doors. So I prefer football being cancelled, and hopefully when the situation gets better it can be restarted and games can be fulfilled. And I also wanted to talk about the West Ham chairman saying that the Premier League season should be declared void. The West Ham chairman is called Karen Brady, and she has claimed sensationally that Liverpool should miss out on a first ever Premier League title, as this season should be declared void and nobody should get anything. So no title awarded, no relegations, no promotions. But then who gets into the Champions League? I just don't get this logic of hers. But actually let's listen to what she said in her column. Oh wow, she wrote the column in that despicable newspaper that everybody hates in and around Liverpool. So I'm not going to even say the name of that newspaper. You know what I'm talking about. That's as classless as you can get, to write a column in a newspaper like that and to say the Premier League season should be void. I mean, I have a lot of problems with this. But first, let's hear what she said in that. There is no dodging the possibility that all levels in the EFL as well as the Premier League will have to be cancelled and this season declared null and void, because if the players can't play the games, can't go ahead. The Premier League hopes that an interlude of 3 weeks from will enable it to restart, but that may well be dreamland. Perhaps scrubbing the European Championship could provide more time to complete the season into the summer, but that is also a giant if. What if the league cannot be finished? As games in both the Premier League and in the EFL are affected, the only fair and reasonable thing to do is declare the whole season null and void. Who knows who could have gone down or come up if the games have not actually been played in full? A huge blow to Liverpool, who might be robbed of their first title in 30 years. I mean, she says the only fair and reasonable thing to do is declare the season null and void. How is that fair? How is that reasonable? I mean, if there are no improvements to the situation, then just don't play the games. And if we go into next season still not being able to play football, then I would suggest just wait until the situation improves, until the situation clears up, and then finish the season. You can't start next season without finishing this season. That's my main issue. You can't. There is no way, because the legal implications would be huge. I mean, many clubs could sue the Premier League or the FA or whoever makes the decision to void a season. I mean, if I was West Brom, if I was Leeds United, if I was any of the championship clubs fighting for promotion, I would sue the Premier League for not allowing them to get promoted. Also, if I was Liverpool, I would sue the hell out of the Premier League, not awarding them the title, because the title race is over. It's not like we are in Italy where there are just 1 or 2 points between the first and second place team. It's not like we are in Spain where there is just 1 point between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Liverpool are 25 points clear. How can you say that you should void the season and that it's fair and reasonable to do so? It just blows my mind, the absolute nonsense. I mean, from a Premier League chairman or chief executive or whatever her position is, how can you say such nonsense that the only fair and reasonable thing to do is to null and void the season? What is she smoking, as John W. Henry, the Liverpool chairman, would say? So there are a lot of different scenarios. Of course, one of them is to declare the season null and void, but I don't think that reasonable. It's in fact the most drastic option, because all the clubs agreed to play a 38-game season, and they didn't agree to play a 29-game season, and it would be really absolutely terrible if this season was just wiped from the record books. It would be the most unfair thing to Liverpool as well. There is another option to declare the season null and void, but crown Liverpool champions, which I would still say I wouldn't be happy with this. I would just say maybe play, maybe let Liverpool, when it's safe to do so, let Liverpool play until they win the league. And also the other games they should organize, so there is a playoff between maybe Chelsea and Manchester United on who finishes fourth. There is a playoff between the 3 or 4 or 5 teams fighting against relegation, and there is a playoff between them on who gets relegated. And also West Brom and Leeds United should come up from the championship, that's no question, and maybe host the playoffs in the championship like they would do it anyway after the championship season is finished. So the 3rd team should play the 6th, the 4th team should play the 5th, and so on and so forth. That's why I think it would be a lot more fair, in my opinion, because Liverpool deserve the Premier League title. Nobody can deny that. Not even Liverpool's fiercest rivals can say that Liverpool shouldn't get the Premier League title. But of course, if Liverpool won the Premier League title without actually playing games, and they won it that way, it would feel very disappointing, because it wouldn't be as thrilling as like winning a derby against Everton or winning away at Man City and winning the title that way. I just want to see the Liverpool win the Premier League title. They so deserve it. They could break the points record. I really want this season to be finished when it's safe to do so, because the health and safety of everyone is the most important, and that's of course the utmost priority. So I would say just wait until the situation gets better, then finish the season, and if it takes until September, October or even November to finish this season, I would be fine with that as well. And then next season you could have a shorter season. Maybe in the Premier League you only play every team once, and that way you can make the Premier League a lot shorter, and also you would have maybe time to play the Euro 2020 tournament in the winter or next summer if the season finishes earlier. So I'm sure that they can work out some solution, but of course the meeting with UEFA and the big leagues on Tuesday will be huge. The meeting between Premier League clubs on Thursday next week will be huge as well. Also, there is the question of could the current league table in the Premier League be used to finalize the title, the Champions League places and the relegation? I don't think that would be too fair on the teams in the relegation zone, because I think Bournemouth are only in the relegation zone on goal difference, and yeah, it's a very tough scenario. But I think the easiest judgment is the title, because Liverpool are just so far clear. But of course, Man United fans would argue that with the form they are in, they could overtake Chelsea into 4th place. Liverpool have been considered champions in waiting for some time. Nothing else in the league, from relegation to qualification for Europe to even winning the Golden Boot, comes even close to being finalized and finished and concluded. To relegate Bournemouth, Aston Villa and Norwich after only 29 match days would be undoubtedly be considered unfair. It would be especially hard and harsh on Aston Villa, who actually played 1 game less, and they are just 2 points off Watford. Also, what do you do with Sheffield United? They played 1 game less than the other teams, and if they win their game in hand, they would be in 4th place. So it would be extremely unfair on Sheffield United as well. An Aston Villa supporter said this on a podcast: I don't see how they can just relegate the sides currently in the bottom 3. Everyone needs to be on an even keel, everyone needs to have played the same amount of games. If we were to win that game in hand, we would go out of the relegation zone. There's still 92 games to be played overall. There's still so many left. And also another scenario is keep everyone in the Premier League and get Aston Villa and West Brom, get Leeds United and West Brom promoted from the Championship and start next season with a 22-team Premier League. That idea is getting more and more traction recently. It would require a big workaround or rework of the calendar, because maybe even because with the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup you would have too many games, way too many games, especially for the top teams. Allowing for the 2 sides currently occupying the automatic promotion places in the Championship to go up would rankle with those currently in the playoff zone. And indeed, those clubs who still feel that given their remaining fixtures they can still gate crash the party of West Brom and Leeds United. It would have also a knock-on effect on the number of sides promoted from League One and so on, and further down the league. So it would just create more and more problems. If Euro 2020 would be delayed by a year, then it would open up the possibility of the current Premier League season being extended into the summer. But the scheduled Euro 2020 final date of July 12 could be used as a marker for the end of the domestic season in Europe. So what do you think about these different ideas being proposed by the English media and by me as well? And Wayne Rooney has actually came and criticized very harshly the footballer authorities, that the time it took for them to postpone matches was too long, and they used footballers as guinea pigs, but they made the right call in the end. So I want to give you guys my thoughts as well on this, but first let's hear what Wayne Rooney had to say about this whole issue. After the emergency meeting, at last the right decision was made. Until then it almost felt like footballers in England were being treated like guinea pigs. The rest of sport, tennis, Formula 1, rugby, golf, football in other countries was closing down, and we were being told to carry on. At Derby County, we sat at training on Thursday waiting for Boris Johnson to speak. People were anxious. Thankfully, football made the right call in the end. We had to put the season on hold. Some people won't be happy, but I just think in this case, football has to come second. It's a sport, it's just a sport. If people's lives are at risk, that has to come first, regardless of whether you are going to win the league title, whether you are trying to get into Europe, or whatever you are going to get relegated or promoted. We are happy to play until September. If the season extends to then, if that's how it has to be, that's our job. As long as we know we are safe to play and it's a safe environment for spectators, we will play. The next World Cup is in November and December 2022. So you could actually use this situation as an opportunity and say we are going to finish the 1920 season later this year, then prepare for 2022 by having the next 2 seasons starting in winter. Yeah, that actually could work. That's actually not a bad suggestion from Wayne Rooney. My opinion is the authorities in England made a mess of this situation, because how could they say for English football to just carry on when every other major league was postponed and closed down, every other major sport was closed down, the NBA, Formula 1, golf, tennis, the NHL, the MLB, every major league around Europe. And for the British government to say, just carry on and play football like nothing is happening, is ludicrous. And it took Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi to get sick for them to cancel the Premier League fixtures, and that's not good enough in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments below, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to make. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Goodbye.